Bum, 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 bum. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's having a good Sunday today. Sorry about being late. I had to reset like all my camera stuff, my audio. It was a big mess, big old mess. If you saw on Instagram, or if you're just now not tuning in live and seeing the thumbnail, you're here to see a live demonstration of how to do my thigh mod, on the Ancient Power Fury Toys Samurai Animals Spring, not Leonardo. I know he looks like Leonardo. It's not him. This right here, this is my personal one. You can see this is what we'll be doing. Little swivel here. Give him that extra oomph. This one right here is actually from my good man, goes by Playing With Himself. You'll know him as Adam Van Wickler from the amazing Toy Migos. He sent me this forever ago, it feels like now. I'm pretty sure he actually moved to a different residence in the time that I received this to now. Even though he was going to move in like 2 weeks. But so it's been a minute. So I owe him this one. So I figured I'd do it live to give him that little extra bit. And what you're going to need for this mod is, I hope I'll get all this right. You're going to need a rotary tool. I suggest Dremel brand, but whatever you are comfortable with, get that. I've got a drill bit on here, and I'm not sure what size drill bit this is. Basically, you're going to need a drill bit that's just slightly smaller than the screws you're going to be using here. This guy right here is a good 1/2 inch long. Just your typical pan head screw. It's pretty small. And the reason why we're using these is because they are in the shape of a peg that you would see on a normal action figure generally. You can see, this isn't really the greatest example, but it kind of gets the point across. You can see how there's like just that little notch right there, and you're used to these if you're a Marvel Legends collector, or really any kind of action figure collector. You'll know about this shape. And basically this right here is kind of like this, only we don't want this to come out. So that's the difference. But yeah, you get the idea. Kind of looks like a mushroom here. So it's rounded, which is the most important part, which will allow us to pop this in with just a little bit of heat. You're also going to need some razor blades. I prefer just a good old, just straight razor. Brand new. You want a new one, so it's going to do a clean cut. You're going to need some burr bits. You might only need just this one. You can probably get around with just this one. This is like a fairly smaller one, and you can see just about how the size compared to our screw is. And basically what we'll be doing with this is we're going to be hollowing out the thigh here. You're going to need a screwdriver. You're going to need an adhesive, and I, as always, recommend the always successful and tried and true JB Super Weld, which is this guy right here. JB Super Weld. You can find this at Walmart. You can get it on Amazon. Basically anywhere. If you go to Walmart to get it, I'm pretty sure you get to find it. You can find it in the plumbing section. It's really good stuff, but it's JB Super Weld, not just JB Weld. It is from the JB Weld brand, but this is like their super glue, and it's really, really good. A lot of times you need to let it set for just a little bit longer than your typical super glue, but it's well worth the wait because you know you're getting quality. You're also going to need some clippers here. I've got these bolt cutters. These are really great for cutting screws like so. And I could probably put a link in the description for all of these tools. What I'm wanting to do is I've got a Amazon Associates like the program or whatever, and so I can link you to the actual tools that I use. And if you go through those links and you buy them through those links, then I guess I get something back, which sounds cool. I had one person buy something once, and I'm getting 28 cents. So, it's making me rich, guys. I want to thank Adam again. This is not the first time I've repaired or modded something for Adam. He's amazing. He sent me all these really cool stickers. He sent me this badass pin, And I don't even know if he knows this or not, but I actually collect enamel pins. And so this is really cool. I don't even know what this is. It just looks like a vampire to me. I'll have to talk to him. I'm probably missing something because I've been out of the loop on everything. But you guys are here for a mod. So let's do it, right? Let's do it. First things first, we're gonna, well, if you got long hair, I'm gonna go and put mine back today just a little bit, since I will be using the Dremel today. So I'm gonna go ahead and, I know, Geister, it's like, sheesh. Also, huge shout out to my patrons. I wonder if I can show this while I'm live. Oh, I bet I can. Watch this. Let's see if this will work. I wanna try this real fast. Media file. Can I just bring in a JPEG image? Here we go. Image. Add source. I'm gonna try to do this on the fly. Oh, this is really cool. I could do this like as we do this. All right, hang tight. Hang tight. This is neat. I'm trying something new. Patrons list. It's my current patrons list right now. Oh, look at that. Is it popping up? Look at that. How cool is that? We'll bring it. Let's see if we can't do this. See if we can't bring it down. Bam. Look at that. Well, that looks awesome. So those are my current patrons right now. Just a huge thank you to all of these guys right here. I'll just give a personal shout out to my newest one, Creeper 13 Creations. I have the hardest time saying your name, and I'm so sorry about that. I feel like an idiot. But anyways, thank you, Esteban Barazza, my main man, Nacho, Chrisman, Samurai Chris, Dave Wonder, Robert Enzo. Oh, Robert, I got some really cool stuff I need to show you later on. I got some more Cold Dog things. I'm about to enter your crazy world of Cold Dog, so you're going to have to write me a little story. Geek Mechanics, my man. Dude, Geek Mechanics is amazing. If you guys haven't checked him out, some of his work is just out of control cool. And Ninth Archer Innovations. I just realized I cut off the dang S on his name. I'm sorry, Charles. That sucks. It's Innovations, not Innovation. I mean, he is pretty innovative. Dang, I feel like an idiot. I did that just a second ago, so I feel like a stupid right now. All right, let's get to it now that I've embarrassed myself. Also, thank you to everybody that's in here once again. Esteban Barasa, my main man, Nacho, Nico Hodge, Brian Pena, long time viewer, Owen Herman, Geister, you are one of the funniest guys in Discord. So thank you for always just making me laugh. You crack me up. Says he tried a man bun before, but everyone calls him a hippie. Ah. Dang. Just let him then. Let him call you that. That's okay. DJ Crossfire, the Chopper Kid. In-screen rant guy voice. Oh, seeing a live mod on an action figure is tight. Awful joke aside, what's up? What's up, man? Thank you for showing up. Ah, my man Chrisman. Back at it again with the white Vans. I've actually got, these are my shoes. I got Nikes, but check this out. Boom. I had some custom Nikes made. I'm not bougie or anything. There was like just a couple extra bucks on their site, and I actually buy these shoes specifically. These are like the Pegasus shoes. I got a few ailments that I deal with. I got like a torn meniscus in my left knee, and I got a bone spur in my right Achilles. It's pretty rough. It's like a bone that goes out the back of my stinking heel there. And so these shoes are amazing. I love these shoes, and I use these all the time. So thank you, Nike, for making them. You want to sponsor me, let me know. That'd be amazing. The Maroos. Yeah, the Bill Maru Nikes, guys. Pretty slick. Let's do this thing. Okay, so first things first. One more thing that you will need is a heat source. Okay, you're gonna need a heat source for softening up the plastic here. And so what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna go ahead and pop off his hands so I don't have to mess with those. This is really cool. This is like a little magnet sheet. I think it's kind of cool. All right, so here we go. So what you want to do, first off, whether you've got hot water to soak these in and let them soften up or whatever, you can use a hair dryer. Takes a little longer. I prefer a heat gun. If you are going to use a heat gun, you really need to be careful. You need to learn this thing. Those of you who've watched me for a long time know that I have mine actually, like, there's a mark right here. If I can show it to you. Yeah, see that there's a black mark right there, so I know where to keep it, because if it goes past that point, bad news bears, and it can go way past that point. There's a lot more notches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more notches of heat, and that will destroy some plastic. So let's go ahead and heat her up. And this is just a live demonstration today, guys. There is a tutorial of this on my YouTube, so if you don't feel like listening to me ramble, but I figured this would be a kind of a cool, more in-depth, uncut look at it. Plus, I need to get this knocked out for Adam, so I figured it'd be cool for him to be able to watch me actually work on his figure. So we're gonna heat this up nice and good. Let's go ahead and we'll just, these, as far as I remember, they just have a standard peg, so we should just be able to, yeah, pop them off. There we go. There we go, and you can see that these are just standard pegs. These would actually be really cool. I'm wondering, it'd be interesting to remove these and, like, add, like, maybe drop downs. I bet I could do that with the, I bet I could do that. Anyways, I don't want to, let's not get into that. That's not why we're here. Okay, so we're going to do one of these at a time, okay? So, luckily for me, I have already done this. I already took that plunge, took that risk in doing this myself. And like I said, this is mine. So, what I can do is actually measure up. I was very happy where I cut mine. And so I can actually measure up where these are. In fact, I can literally measure them with a tape measure. Let's see what we got here. So from the hip to the cut, it's 1/2 inch. Maybe a little more. I don't want to give you a wrong number. I guess I should pop these off and so I could check. It's close to that. You could see here exactly where it is. It's like, there's this little divot in the left thigh, and it's like right where that is about to end, like halfway through right here, you can cut. Anywhere in there is pretty good. Like, you just want to make sure you got plenty of room for your razor blade to go through. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this left leg first. We're gonna go ahead and unsheath our brand new razor blade. We're going to try to, at least. These are good. If they got that brown paper on them, you know they're good. What's up, Badger Wolf Prime? Thanks for showing up, man. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to, like I said, do one of these at a time. You always want to do one at a time. And we're going to go ahead and heat this up, and we're going to make our first terrifying cut. No, it's not scary. And I'll show you how I do it. I always stand up. It's not a blue. Okay, this is not a Bluetooth. It is half the Bluetooth symbol. This is actually the Berkana or the Berkano. This is a Norse symbol. This is my first tattoo. I just got it last a week ago actually. And it stands. It actually means birch, as in the tree. But it actually stands for growth, rebirth, fertility, healing, and it means a lot to me. It is a B, which is kind of funny, so if I get older, and I won't forget what my name starts with. Also, if you turn it to the side, it looks like an M for Maru, and also it looks like mountains, which are my wife's favorite place to go. It also can stand for motherhood, so it's a big nod to my mother, who passed away in 2021. So there's a lot of meaning behind this guy. I've been thinking about it for a very, very, very long time, so just figured I'd show that off. So thanks, Esteban. It is half the Bluetooth symbol, though. So There's that. So let's heat this up. And you'll be able to test it out. You'll be able to know that it's ready to go when you can kind of press on basically the cavity where the hip ball enters or attaches itself. You'll be able to squish that with your fingers. Real easy. And I like to rotate it, kind of like rotisserie chicken, if you will. Turtle legs. Alright, that's feeling pretty good. Alrighty, yeah, it feels good. You can see here, it's real squishy. Alright, so here's the trick, okay? Here we go. You stand straight above it, right? And so let's check our guy here. Let's see where we cut his at. Move this out of the way. It stays hot for a pretty good amount of time. Alright, so like I said, we're going to cut it right there. Perfect. And we can kind of eyeball this from the side. I like to set the leg down like so, kind of bend the foot a little bit so this thing stays flat for you. And keep in mind, you want to go flat with the top. Alright, you want to go flat with the top. You don't want it to be like this and you cut straight like that. That's going to be awkward. You can do kind of an angle, but you want to make sure that it's, you know, as straight as you can. So you kind of want to cut it straight with this and straight with this here. Set it on a grid like I've got, and you can actually cut it exactly where you need it to go, and it'll be straight. Okay, so let's go ahead, and we're going to cut it. Let's double check. I think we're going to go right here. Looks pretty safe. I think that's a pretty good cut. We don't want it too far down, but we don't want it too far up. We're kind of right directly in the center here. Carefully press down. Slow and steady wins the race. Sometimes you have to lift. Sometimes you got to lift it up a little bit, like lift the piece that you're cutting. If you're using a straight razor, due to this lip right here, this lip can just catch that plastic. Sometimes it can even, if you press hard enough, this can actually cut plastic if you've heated this up enough. Okay, so now that we've got this cut, we're gonna set this over to the side here. You want to keep these together. Also, yeah, here's a big old fat fun fact. It's white on the inside. Yep, it's white on the inside. So to some that could probably be bothersome, but honestly, this is mine. You never see it, and unless you were like maybe posing him to, I don't know, for you photographers out there, you could definitely block that out. If you want to, you could actually paint it. I'm not sure how well that's gonna live up to rub, but there's a lot of you guys out there that are way more talented than I am in painting, so maybe there's a like a good sealant for that. Maybe you paint it, you seal it, and then you can pop that peg back in and it works just fine. I don't think you're gonna notice it, but for those of you who are a little more anal about it, go for it. And if it works, let me know in the comments. That'd be really cool. But let's go ahead and heat this one up now. And the reason why I'm not doing a whole leg at a time is a lot of times I have to swap through pieces on my Dremels. So I kind of like to do those at the same time. Let's go ahead and heat this up. I get like the sniffles. Alright, that thing's good to go already. A lot of times it just takes a little bit to heat that boy up. Get the car started. Alright, once again, kind of press it down to where it's, you feel like this foot's gonna not move around too much whenever you're going to cut. And we can go ahead and actually measure out our cut from this guy here. Right about there. Let's check that just to see what we think. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit higher. There we go. It's almost like you want to go just like right in the middle and then go up just a smidge. Just a smidge. All right. So now we're going to go down straight. Make sure this is, once again, straight. Just want to make sure real quick that I'm doing this the way I want. Perfect. You always want to double check if you're second guessing yourself. Yeah, a little higher than half. All right, let's go. Carefully press down. There we go. Beautiful. All right. That does it for our razor blade. So we're done there. Okay. Important thing to do here. Keep your pieces separate, okay? You don't want to accidentally try to put the wrong thigh on, and it can happen. All right. So let's take our screws, set our screws over here. If I can grab it with my fingers. We'll set this over here on our magnet so it doesn't go sliding around. First things first, we're going to take our drill bit here. And like I said, I'm so sorry, I don't know the gauge on this. It's got to be, I don't know where my little, I've got a tool that I use that I can actually tell me what gauge this is. This is probably close to like maybe 2 mil, I think. It's way bigger than I usually use, but you could see that it's going to be about this size right here for the screw. In fact, I might actually want to go a little smaller than this. So let's drop down to maybe 1.8 maybe. I think it's my blue one. Yeah, this guy right here. This guy's my good one. All right, let's use this guy instead. So I always like to have my drill bit be smaller than the width and gauge of the threading right here. And you can tell that that's just this is just a little smaller. And what that does is whenever we drill into our plastic, what that's going to do is it's going to give us plenty of new room, plenty of time, or excuse me, plenty of room to not make a mistake. Basically, we're going to drill in the center, and it also give this screw enough to grip, is what I'm trying to get at. Jesus, that took me a minute. So you want to, the most important thing here is to try to stay as close to the center as possible. Keep in mind, like, we're going to put this thing back, and if you want it to fit flush, you know, you want it to be as close to the center as possible. If it's really far off, you know, uncentered, your peg's going to be off. That means your pieces are going to be off, and they're going to be just kind of a mess. So we don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and drill in from the center. We're going to start on a slower speed. And you don't want to go in crazy far. You could feel actually where this will hit. When you're drilling, if you go slow, you'll feel it go through the plastic and go pop. It'll hit right there, okay? And you notice, like, this won't... These are actually, the way these knees are built, if you were to go through and drill through this, you won't even see it. It won't go up that far. So, no real harm on this one, but just, you know, still, it's good practice to stay safe. Okay, so we're going to drill our hole into this now, the top. Okay. All right. So you can see that we've got 2 holes right here. All right. And what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to, at the end of this, what we want is we're going to screw this guy into here so the peg will be out. All right. So the peg will technically be attached to the upper half of the thigh swivel, the hip. And we're going to make a hole in here, a cavity for that peg to go into. And the reason why I do that is because we've already got this hole here. Chances are you've already, like when you drilled in here, you more than likely drilled all the way through. And so the last thing, you're just not going to have as much room in this guy because we wanted to keep this, at a decent height for the thigh cut, where the thigh cut's at. Had it have been lower, that wouldn't be, that'd be okay. But no, we want to make sure that the peg is going down, just like a McFarlane figure. If you guys are familiar with my thigh mods on those, or anybody's thigh mods at this point, it's crazy how many people have been doing them. Any kind of figure that I do that with, I like to... I did an Icons mod as well from DC Icons, and that peg goes down. My man Chris Jordan, Gambit, what are you up to? Oh yeah, I did. I got some. I got me a tattoo. Got me a tattoo on my arm. So, all right, we're gonna go ahead and let's go ahead and drill these two. We're gonna drill these holes as well on the other one. So repeat what we literally just did. Keep it in the center. I just know somebody's gonna ask me the gauge to these screws, and I just don't know which ones they are. These are just some basic screws you can go get at Lowe's. Okay, so this is where your screwdriver is gonna come in handy. We're going to want to just kind of screw down a little bit into this. Not too far. You don't want to connect into your disc here, but it's just good to kind of start getting the plastic a little more open, and also to know where our guide... Basically, it creates a guide for us here with this screw, so we know where it's going to be entering and kind of where our center is for this. With this guy here, we can go a little further up. And like I said, you've probably already drilled all the way through here. So we're going to have to cut these screws, which is what the bolt cutters are for. Okay, so we want to... What I like to do, honestly, is kind of, when I put my screw in here, I like to go up until I can see the tip of the screw actually coming out of here. You can see it in there. See? You can see the tip of the screw coming out to the point where I can like keep screwing this in. And be careful you don't stab yourself. So I know that the full width of this screw has already gone through. Okay, that makes sure that our screw is going to enter there the way we want it to once we cut it down. All right, we're going to use that screw for this guy, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing to this. And with our drill bit being just slightly smaller, you can see that it's just a very easy process for us to just kind of screw this in with a hand screwdriver. Okay, getting our holes done. Let's do it again on the top one here. Top half hip. Once again, be very careful with this. You don't want to stab your hand. Careful, careful. Slow and steady wins the race on these guys. Let's go a little more. We want this to be, like I said, we want that to poke through to where it's at the full width of the threading. And we're going to pull this out. Okay? All right. So, next up, we've got to cut our screw. And we've also got to make a hole in here, a hole cavity, okay? So what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with, let's go ahead and do the hole first, okay? We're going to make our cavity first. And basically what we're going to want here is, since we don't have a whole lot of real estate to put this in, we've got just enough to probably put it in. I think I would want it to go, in my tutorial, I went about this far in. You don't want, and that's about, probably about a 9th, in between an 1/8 and 1/10 of an inch, is how much room you want that screw to be protruding out of here. You don't want to have like just a whole lot of room But you also don't want it to be flat up against this, because if it's flat up against us, obviously it's not going to connect. So what we're going to be doing here is essentially drilling down and making a circle inside, correct? Which what that's going to do is, so it's like basically think of the letter T but upside down. All right. So we're going to drill in through the top, and then we're going to take a smaller burr bit and just go around. Okay. And the reason we do that is because it'll keep this hole tight right here where we put our screw in a minute ago. And then it's going to make the inside wider, giving us enough room to insert the screw head. Okay. So what you're going to need with this is a smaller burr bit, as I alluded to at the beginning of this. And let's double check and see. I think this might work. Sometimes I'll use this guy here. This is like one of my smaller ones, and I think it's perfect for this. So what you'll do first is you're going to take this smaller burr bit. And like I said, this burr bit is the size of the hole. Like it's like perfectly the size of the hole. It might even be slightly larger, and that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill straight down this hole. Right? Just a little bit. Okay, we're going to turn that down just a little bit. And then what we're going to do, so what can happen here is when you're in there, it starts heating up that plastic, right? So we're going to slowly start kind of angling it while it's in here. Real slow, real careful, okay? Let's go back in. I'm going to go. Another big thing before we continue. Another thing is you want to make sure that this is going in far enough, right? So I would say, once again, about maybe 1/4 of an inch. You want to go down. So let's see. If you can see where that's at on my finger there, that's about how far we're going down. Which would be, I'll keep that there. All right, so yeah, we're looking at about 1/4 of an inch, I'd say. So you're gonna drill down about 1/4 of an inch, and then we'll slowly, as that's heating up in there, we'll slowly start just moving it around in a cone shape, okay? Let's go down in. And what'll happen is, since all that plastic in there is compacted, your razor's probably gonna come in handy here. You'll start, it just starts kind of gunking up on your end here on your bit. So just slowly, because keep in mind it has nowhere to go, okay? That plastic has to be out of there, so you just carefully go around. Not too far in. Don't go all the way down in this thing, because if you go all the way down, you're going to be hitting this piece right here, and that's what we don't want. So you shouldn't have drilled down that far anyways, so just slow and steady. Like I said, you can see how that plastic kind of works itself out. We're only going in, literally going in like this at an angle, okay? So keep that going. You can kind of feel it, like you'll start kind of pressing it a little more. You just want to keep it going in a smooth rotation. See? All that plastic just kind of taking itself out of there. Nothing's coming off the top. It's all under this hole that we've made. Okay? And what kind of naturally happens as well while you're doing this is you'll start kind of cutting a little of the edge off, just because it gets hot, right? It gets heating, it heats up, okay? And so what's going on there is this is kind of cool. Since it's heating up right through here on the corners and the edges, it's making almost like a slight bowl shape, all right, on the top. And that is really cool, because we want to do that anyway. And why we want to do that is because it will allow our peg to insert way easier. If you've ever taken, like I said, if you've ever taken like a Marvel Legend apart, and you look at their hips, you'll notice that there's a peg and there's a hole that it goes down into. And that's what we're kind of doing. So what we can do here is we'll take this right here. Let's see, we won't actually need this anymore. So what I like to do in a situation like this, if you are fortunate enough to have multiple drill bits, and like I said, I'm going to try to get a my Amazon Associates link up for you guys. And helps me out, and it should help you out, so you guys can go right to it. I'll try to put that link in the description for you guys. So check this out. So you can take this bigger burr bit, right? This thing's huge, and just barely press it on the top. Don't go down all the way. You don't want to go down in the hole all the way. But what this is doing right now is it's making this bowl shape, right? I'm barely going in, like just barely going in here. Okay? Barely going in there at all. And it's not making that top hole larger, it's just making a little bit of a lip. Alright, let's kind of clean out some of this gunk in here. Any of that excess plastic. It should be good to go at this point. Alright. You can see a little bit of stuff in there. What you can do is go in with a small flathead screwdriver, kind of at an angle, and just kind of twist it around. And some of that'll pop out of there for you. You can kind of scrape the edges if you want. Or sometimes, which looks like this spot right here, might just need more drilling. There we go. All right. Okay, cool. Okay, another thing you can do with your razor blade too is you can come in kind of at just the slightest of angle, like and kind of cut slightly around that bowl. So you can see there's like just little shavings coming off right there. And it can really give you a nice, smooth, perfect finish on that. If you care about that. For me, a lot of times what it does, it just kind of makes sure that there's nothing sticking out that's going to protrude into your hip once it goes in. We want this to be nice and smooth. And not to mention, you can even do this here, just because once you do drill in and pull that drill out, a lot of times there's even like the smallest amount. So if you watch here, you can kind of get just the smallest bit of junk off of there, and so we'll know it's going to be nice and smooth. All right, perfect. Okay, and so here's something cool too. So once you've drilled in here, a lot of times you can actually just kind of look in. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up. I could try to show you here. I try to keep this thing covered up. So if you look here, you can kind of see how deep it goes. There's kind of where we're at right there. And you can see right there, there's kind of some junk. So we want to kind of shave some of that down too. But for the most part, we've got exactly what we wanted done. I'm going to get some of this. It's probably just plastic hanging on, but you just want to make sure that it does get any of that stuff out of the way. You don't want it to block your articulation, which I don't think it would, but it could end up causing a little bit of a problem if you try to shove a screw down there, right? And let's say you've only shaved off like a perfect 3/4 of it, right? But we haven't gone all the way around. So let's say there's plastic, there's like this one chunk. So you've got your pie chart, right? And it's all shaved perfectly right here. But right here in this quarter in, you somehow you just didn't get enough plastic. What that'll do is once that screw goes in, it's going to push it off to the side because it has nowhere to go. And it could come in crooked. It could cause problems. So it's always good to go back in, make sure that everything's kind of cleaned out. Another thing you can do is turn your Dremel down like real low. And just kind of, this won't really Dremel anything, all it does is kind of catch all that excess gunk, and you can see all that plastic just kind of falling out of there. You can just kind of go around like this, and it just bumps it around, and it's not going to cause any damage to your dremeling because it's not that, you'd have to really press hard. There's just not enough power in that spin right now. Okay, cool. So that's one done right here, and let's go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and knock this one out, and then we'll do the exact same thing on this side here, right? Okay. So first things first, we need to cut this screw short, right? We got to cut this screw short to make sure this is gonna pop in there right where we want it. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll cut it just slightly shorter. I'll insert it to be slightly shorter than what we've cut out, right? And so what that does is it'll heat up, swivel around, and pop in. Hey, Robert Leon's here, man. Dude, check it out. I got a new storyline for you. I got the Freedom Brothers from Cold Dog in. I'm addicted to these things, man. I gotta get that freaking Ironhead Tony one day. Whew. I love them, man. I love these figures. They're really cool. Okay, back to it. So, first thing we want to do before we cut, we'll get ourselves a little plastic bag. What's in that? We don't need it. And so we don't, like I said, we don't have a whole lot of room here, and we don't want... we drilled all the way through it earlier, but we don't want this to be poking through this time. And so that's why, A, we're going to cut it flat, and B, we'll sand it down a little bit as well. Let's see here. I'm looking at about... I bet we could get away with this. We're going to cut it about 4... We're cutting a third of this off. I think that should be fine. Let's see. Okay. We do that in the plastic bag because it cuts it clean and doesn't go flying. So we're going to take our sanding bit now. I don't know if I mentioned that at the beginning. Probably not. And get a nice grip. If you've got some end clippers or even some, I would say some pliers, but you got to be really careful when you're gripping a screw with pliers. Put your safety goggles on. And so what will happen here is you'll probably see a little bit of sparkage. Maybe, yep. I'm going to cut this nice and smooth. And what that does is just kind of smooths out our screw for us. And depending on how long you were holding on to that, like with the Dremel, these can get very, very hot. They are metal conductor or heat conductors, so careful. So what you want to do here... Hey, what's up, Ninth Archer? Man, I think you showed up a minute ago. Samurai Chris, what are you guys up to today? Hope you guys are having a good one. Thank you all for showing up. Appreciate it. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you, man. So we're going to go ahead, and since we've cut that to where we want it, we're going to see if this will just screw in. Okay. Doesn't seem to be wanting to just go in, and it looks like we might have a little piece right there. I gotta be careful I don't get that stuck in my skin. Yeah, it looks like there's a little flake. You never know what's gonna hang on in these cases, so. And also magnetized, so it'll stick onto it. You just gotta be really careful with this stuff. You don't want anything of, you don't want to get stuck in your skin. You don't want any of that business, because it's not fun to get metal in your skin. Trust me, it likes to hurt. All right, see if we can't push this guy in here. And if it's not going in, you don't want to force it. All right, because if you try to force it, all it's going to do is just chew up your plastic. If it doesn't go in with like the first 5 turns, you need to back it out. You can see that this is starting to go in. This is exactly what we want. Okay. And like I said, if it wasn't going in, if the screw wasn't going in the way you wanted it to, what you would need to do is back it out and just kind of sand down the edge at an angle. So that'd be cool to work it into the plastic. So it kind of makes like almost like your own like sharper tip on there. But I don't know. It just seems to help. It kind of cuts down some of that, any kind of threading. So if like the threading is like cut and then starts over again, it has a hard time connecting because there's no threading there. And that's why we do that. Another little trick you can do here is whenever you're putting this in, a lot of times what can happen since you've cut that flat is this plastic can kind of pop up around the edges here. And so you can kind of guide a razor blade carefully along the bottom. And this is also why I use brand new razor blades, because you don't have to press as hard with them. That they will cut a lot quicker, so careful with your skin. And just always be paying attention, you know what I mean? Like, make sure you know what you're doing, all right? Keep an eye on things. Let's go. I want to make sure that this, it looks like our hole is a little closed up. And so I want to kind of make sure that this is going to be right. So you might have to go back in one more time with your drill bit. I didn't think I'd need it again, but you never know. Sometimes you need it. So we'll just go, after we've done all that, we'll go in one more time just to... There we go. Yeah, I think there's just a chunk of plastic in there. Okay. A lot of times you should be able to like get it started with your fingers. That's usually a good tell of if your screw has been cut correctly or not. All right, that's going in. So I think we want to go in a little further than this. Make sure we're not, see how far. All right, perfect. I'm not sure. This probably, let's see how well this will show up for you, if you can even see it or not. Let's see here. I don't think you're going to be able to see that. Oh, there you go. Okay, if you look real close. Yeah, come on. Oh my God. It's like dealing with mirrors. Okay. Yeah, let's see if we can't get this in the light. Alright, there we go. We're almost there. You can barely see it. You can see the screw over there. That's like the white where the plastic's cut. The screw is not coming out, so that's good. We don't want the screw to be protruding in there. So if you see the screw and it's actually surpassing the plastic, you don't want that. What's up, Thomas Brock? Thanks for showing up, man. Appreciate you. And once again, since we've put the screw in again, it's going to do this almost every time. What it'll do is it'll bring this plastic up right here. And so we just bring this kind of around the edges and we cut it clean. And then you can kind of scrape up and it'll get rid of that excess little plastic bits right here. There's like just little, you can see that little shredded bit right there. Okay, cool. And this is about where I want my screw. This is actually exactly where I want it. If this is any indication for you. I don't know if this will help, but I've kind of started to implement my my measuring tape just so you guys can kind of get a better idea as to where it's at. You know what I mean? So here's your inch mark. Sorry for my European friends. So probably about 1/10 of an inch or so. And that should be good. And so you can do one of two things now. You can test this. So by testing, I mean you heat this up, you pop this in, and you see if that's going to work for you. And if you're happy where that's at, then you can remove it and we remove this screw. We lace the screw with super glue, and then we pop it back in. That's what I would suggest if you haven't done this before. If you've done this before and you've got a good feeling for it, as I do, I'm going to go ahead and skip to lacing this with super glue. But like I said, you can keep that in there. You can heat this up enough where you pop it in, and I'm about to show you how to do that, and it'll work. If it works, great. If it's too long, if you see there's too big of a gap, or if it's not even entering, then you might need to take the screw out a little more, or you might need to take the screw in a little more, depending on what it's doing for you. So it's always safer to test that. And it's not like, it wouldn't be the end of the world if you glued it in there, if you glued that screw in and it was not the right height or width. It's slightly risky, because if you were to remove that, now you're tearing the plastic with the adhesive. Okay, so it's safer to go ahead and put that screw in there without adhesive first. But like I said, I've done this before. I'm going to go ahead and skip that step, and we're going to go ahead and it's like, where's it at? All right, let's see if our glue is, look like it might be locked up. Okay, cool, it's not. All right, so we put this on the edge here. This is what I usually don't do on my other repairs, because a lot of times you don't want that glue to enter, where a joint might be. But luckily for this, we literally want this to become one with this hip. So that's been glued. We're going to put that in where we wanted it. Okay. Nice and snug. And then what you can do is, whenever you tighten that in, take your piece of paper towel. I should have probably included that. You'll need that as well. Hopefully you already have that nearby. But what you can do is you can just rake it along your exposed kind of area right here. And what that'll do is, any glue that, while you were screwing in, while you're screwing in, that glue can just separate and attach itself to that plastic, kind of, because you're pushing that in, so it has nowhere to go, so it's got to go out somewhere. And so what you can do right there is take that piece of paper towel, slide it alongside. It absorbs any of that excess super glue and makes a nice little seam, so that helps. What we're going to do now is we're going to let this sit for a minute until that dries. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start on this one. So we're going to do exactly what we just did all over again. All over again. All right, so once again, let's go in with the our drill here. Oh, we were on a faster speed earlier. Remember, like I said, you go down inside of it, kind of go down a little further, and just kind of go in and out a little bit, just to get some of that plastic, kind of get out of the way. And then you slowly start angling your Dremel, okay? And you'll be able to feel it. You got to be careful, because it can catch on some stuff. It can catch on the plastic, and you just got to be careful, because that's loose plastic now that's just kind of jumbling in there. So really have a nice firm grip on your Dremel when you're doing this. Because right now we're just kind of, this is like the dirtier part of it, there's some finesse, but really we're just kind of doing yeah, look at that. Look how much, look at all that. So this is all plastic that just kind of got heated up in there, was getting just rammed around. And you can see there's more. Like, you can't even see there's a hole there right now, barely. There we go. Alright, so it's just slowly and steadily get rid of this plastic, alright? Keep it going. It's not the most exciting thing, I know, but it's one of those things where you really need to be mindful. You need to be paying attention. And just careful. Be very careful. You know, always make sure you get a firm grip when you're pulling your Dremel out, right? Because if you don't, if you're just kind of loose or whatever and you're daydreaming, it could catch here and go whack and drill all the way down. You don't want that. That'd be terrible. Okay? Let's keep this going. We're almost done. Okay. Another thing that you can do here is if, let's say you notice like let's say you Dremel too far to the back at the very beginning, you can kind of just start making your way closer to the center, and that can, you can fix a mess up. But usually that's why we have our first guide there, But just in case, you got too anxious, dremeled out a little too close to an edge, you can always kind of make your way back over. And I mean, even if it came down to it, you could probably fill it with sculpt and start over. Just because all we're doing really is making a hole. You know what I mean? Let's just keep this going. Said, you don't want to rush it. The last thing you want to do is rush something like this. And that's usually what I do in my tutorials, even though I feel like sometimes my tutorials might be a little long. I don't like to leave any kind of details out. I definitely learned that from YouTube when, God, people got on top of me because they're like, you didn't show the arm being popped back in. And in my head, I was just like, well, I mean, you knew to heat it up to pop it out. Probably just heat it up to pop it back in, but people are interesting. They want to see it all. So I try to keep these tutorials, as informative as possible and try not to leave out any kind of information that usually I don't think about everything. So, always feel free to let me know if there's something you'd like to see me change, or, if I gotta repeat something or slow it down, you let me know. We're almost done with this. I'm going to make one more pass, make sure we've gotten all the way in. Perfect. All right, and like what I said earlier, you like that Badger Wolf, that's funny. Aaron Hardy, unfortunately, these Dremels are discontinued. And I know it looks like I'm a piece of trash right now because you can see that there's obviously 3 on my desk. Funny story. My first one lasted me, man, almost 15, 16 years. It was insane. And it broke, and it was a nightmare. I should do a video over it, but it's still traumatic. It's kind of a crazy story. But anyways, it died on me one night. And what happened was I looked it up. They've been discontinued. Can't find them anymore. Cool. Well, my buddy, a long time ago, Anthony Martosio, is one of my favorite guys on the planet. He's a local guy. He goes by amarto81 on Instagram. So follow him. He's an amazing guy. He does really cool prints all the time. He's just really good. He's got an amazing printer. He's not a 3D artist yet, but he's getting there. But he does really amazing prints. Anyway, he's one of my best friends. He's my brother. I love this guy. I take a freaking bullet for him. And he sold me one for $50, which is nuts. Like, that's nuts. We help each other out a lot of times. Like, we give each other stuff and whatnot, and then we'll sell each other stuff at like really good prices. Usually we lose money on it, but who cares? We're friends. It doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. Just nice. It's nice for your friends to hook you up too, with me paying him and him giving me a product. So we do that. We have a cool understanding with that. So he bought me he gave me this or sold it to me for $50. Well, then I get a new, like right after I posted about my Dremel dying, that's whenever he hit me up and said that. Well, then a client comes out of nowhere with a broken Mezco Popeye figure, and he's like, "I've got a Dremel." He's like, Would you fix the hip for trade?" And I was like, "Well, I wouldn't charge you that much for that." And he's like, "No, it's cool. You're doing me a service. You fix my figure. I'll send you a Dremel." And he did. He was amazing. Like, dude was super cool. He's from the Navy too, which is really cool that he had a Popeye figure. But yeah, he sent me this and the charger, which was amazing. And then my freaking guy, High School Creations, ended up hooking me up with one once. Like, he just did it. He just hooked me up. If you guys don't follow High School Creations, look at this, man. He does stuff like this. Like, how cool is this? He sent me a dumpster that he made. And it's not like cheap or anything. This thing feels like, this is like official. If you guys don't know High School Creations, he's probably one of the nicest people in the toy community. Amazing dio builder, very humble guy, and eternal gratitude for him for helping me fix y'all's toys and mod y'all's figures and all that stuff. So that's how I ended up with 3. Now, my wife, my beautiful wife, surprised me one birthday or Christmas. I think it was anniversary or something like that. One of those fun times where you get to buy somebody a gift guilt-free. And she bought me this Dremel 4000. And this thing is awesome. Stays plugged in. So I wanted one that stays plugged in. This is for the big jobs. This is for like dremeling down like a big screw or taking out a chunk of plastic. This thing's amazing. And she bought me this. She's like, I thought you'd like this. This Dremel grip is like $9. And this is another thing I can link you guys to. And you just screw off the front here, and it works on almost all the Dremels that are compatible. You can check before you buy it if your Dremel's compatible. This turns this into a godlike tool. That's why I like these so much. These are amazing. They don't have as much power, but for what I need them for, it's pretty good. But this guy is amazing. So this is like, for me, having a handheld stylus version, which you can actually get small Dremels, and that grip will fit on there. So, you might not be able to get this stylus, but you can get something just as good from Dremel. I suggest Dremel brand just because I trust them, and I love the brand. They've never done me wrong, and their products last. Like, they are really good products. So, with that little gush, let's get back to this repair, because I know you guys are like, man, get to it, dude. Who cares about what you use? All right, so since we've done our outer bit here, we're gonna go ahead and do that little bowl I was talking about earlier. Just a little bit. A little bit on there. And we'll take our razor blade again, and we'll carefully, like I said, this is a brand new blade that we opened up at the beginning of this. And what that does is add this perfect little scoop. You just barely, I'm barely pressing that, and it's just cutting away all that junk, excess plastic that we don't need. And then we turn our Dremel down to low and just get all that nasty junk out of there. And kind of keep it to the side a little bit. Just kind of, so you can see, even if I was to accidentally like hit this right here, it like just doesn't do much. It doesn't do hardly anything at all, because I've got such a low speed on right now, and this is just for getting any of that junk out of there that we don't need. Okay, next up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut our screw as short as we did earlier, which I believe we got it down to about 4 threadings. 4 threads. 4 threadings. 4 threads. Okay. I think we cut off about 1/3 of our screw there. Okay. Bolt cutters are a lifesaver. They will save your hands. I know you probably feel like a Superman now, no matter what age you are. I can promise you those hands will not last forever. But they will last a lot longer if you take care of them. So, work smarter, not harder. So we're gonna have to sand this off because, as you can see here, there's a little hook. It's kind of a little, it's weird. It's at an angle right now. We don't want that. We want it flat. Let's go ahead and put on our glasses. Like I said, be careful. This can spark. So if you're around any kind of flammable stuff, be very careful. Just need to take off just a little bit of the edges. There we go. Almost done. This one just needed a little extra work. Like I said, be very careful if you were, somewhere out in the shop or whatnot and you're really dremeling into that thing. These babies get hot, and they get hot quick, and they stay hot. Like, they will surprise you. So, let's go ahead and try and see if this will fit in. We might take, take our Dremel a little bit right here, just on the front. This is actually, I probably could have done this on the first one. This is actually a pretty good idea, if I do say so myself. You can Dremel a slight hole at the beginning there, a little bit bigger, and that'll help that screw enter a little easier, a little faster. We can also, once again, take our razor blade, just kind of rest it in there and let it do its thing. Slow turn. There we go. All right. Let's grab our screwdriver. I think that piece of metal's on there from a minute ago. Okay. Put this here. See if this will go in. Can't tell. I feel like I cut this one a little longer. Let's see if this is going to go in, and we might need to. Okay, so here, yeah. So this one's a problem child. We're going to need to sand this down a little more. And what I'll usually do in a case like that, because earlier, like, we cut that all the way down to, like, I got it as close as I could, and I want to say it was down a little further. So what I'm going to do, and that's, in this case, and this isn't the problem, I'll use the old Dremel 4000. You could tell, just by the sound of it, a bit stronger. Kids, get your parents' permission before you try that. Don't do that in the house, like Billy just did. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our screw again, now that we've got a little bit more of the junk taken off of there, and let's see if this is what we needed. Actually, what did we do last time? We went back in with our drill bit. I'm like reaching all the way around the stinking light. Let's go ahead and drill that hole out again. For some reason, there seems to be like a little heat or a little contraction that happens in there somehow. So let's try this again. And sometimes even after that, you got to go back in and try to find where it's going to catch. See if this will work. We might need to sand it a little more. It might not be going in. All right, let's sand it again. Third time's a charm, right, guys? So we'll go ahead and an angle this time. Oh, what am I doing? I need to make sure it's gripped on our end clippers here. All right, here we go. Like I said, sometimes you come in at an angle, and that'll do the trick for you. See if this guy's going to give us any more trouble or not. Alright, butthead. Alright, you primitive screwhead. Listen up. Right. That's what we wanted. Just took a little extra love on that one. Alright, it's going in. It's not exuding what we want here. Make sure. Yep, looking good. We can go in a little bit more. Let's go ahead and take our razor blade again. Cut any of that excess plastic off. We're very close to being done here, guys. Very close. All right, let's go ahead and remove this. Put on the end of our screw here, or excuse me, our screwdriver. Let's take our JB Super Weld. Let's go ahead and put a nice drop on the end there. And we're just going to go right back in like we did a minute ago. Since those impressions are fresh in there. Fresh impressions. Impressions. Alright. And that leaves us with just enough room here. And just like what we did a minute ago, we want to take our paper towel while that adhesive is still wet. Let's go ahead and drag that along the edge. That's another way you could tell that you're that you've got the right distance with the screw inside of the plastic, is that the paper towel will slide just right under it perfectly. You won't have to like force it in there or anything like that. Won't be too tight. Be very cool. So you should have done a giveaway with the broken Dremel for your Patreon supporters. Oh man, I honestly, I think I finally threw it away. I just had to get rid of it. But I thought about bronzing it at one point. I was like, what are you doing? Like, get over yourself. My man Ori's in here. What's up, man? Okay, cool. So this is in now. We're going to let that do its thing. So we're going to take this and we're going to go ahead and we're going to, let's see, I'm trying to think the order of this. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I can't remember last time. I felt like I heated this up first and popped it on. And then I heated this up and popped it on because if you heat, here's why. If you heat this up first and pop this on, then you heat this up and try to pop it on here, what you're doing is you actually have to heat up both of these to pop it on. And let's just say, for some crazy reason, you press too hard, you don't heat it up enough, and you end up bending your screw or whatnot, okay? So we don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is first we're going to take this very gently, holding this like this. And we're going to heat this up first, okay? Doesn't seem like that big of a deal, and it might not be, but just want to take a little extra care. All right, and this is the left foot, which we kept over there to the side. That should be enough. It's not going to take a whole lot of heat to pop this back in, I don't think. Let's see. Okay. That's in. Bam, bam. And actually, we can probably, well, it might still be drying, but like I said, these screws don't go in that far up to here. It looks like there's actually a little bit of plastic on the inside here, so we're going to keep this low. We'll just get rid of some of that. I noticed some of the plastic kind of pushed up through that hole we made, and I don't think it would have caused any problems, but just in case. I kept that on a real low speed setting, and just some of the plastic, like I said, once we pushed that screw in, kind of got pushed up since we screwed in when we drilled in again. And so that should be fine. Now, just in case you don't want any extra stuff in there. So like I said, gently grab this. And I mean gentle, like baby bird gentle, you know? Like tight enough to where it can't fly away, but gentle enough to where you don't crush it. Let's heat this up. Shouldn't take much. It should be good. And when you're working with a heat gun, like the shorter the shorter time you leave in between uses, like while you clicked it, heat it up. All right, grab something else, clicked it, heat it up. Like it stays hot. That baby's hot. Like if I was to touch the end of that right now, yikes, not a fun time. So cool. So what's happening now is these are gonna, we gotta let those cool just a little bit. Like I said, because what happened there is not only did we heat those holes, but inside those holes we've drilled in, right? And we've got a screw with adhesive. It's not, I've never ran into a situation where I had to rush one of these. I cannot tell you how much I have to press this on you. Take your time. Take your time. Like if you can't handle like waiting for something like that, if you're just standing there and you just can't wait, either A, get yourself a sub project, like a secondary project that you can keep off to the side to work on, so you can set this aside, set it, forget it. B, go eat. C, take a shower. D, listen to a song, a whole song. Don't touch it. You listen to one song, you're better off that way. Okay, just don't force it, and don't speed through it, man. It's just gonna hurt you in the long run, and you're just gonna get mad at yourself because you know what you did. It's like, so many times if only I would have waited. So it's good for you too. It's really good too. It's a great exercise in self control, and I just strongly suggest you try it. Trust me, I'm guilty of not doing it. That's why I'm giving you the advice. So just so you know. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and drill just a little bit more into this. I always get a little OCD with these right before I put them on. I just want to make sure that if I see any kind of hunk of junk in there or any plastic, I like to make sure that it's all gone. There's one. Careful we don't get these mixed up, okay? Always keep these off to the side of different sides. You don't want to accidentally put the wrong one. It's kind of hard to tell, especially on a turtle foot, which one's which. You only got 2 toes. All right, we're going to do the left leg first because this is the one that we started with. So let's go ahead. We're going to heat this up. Plus, that's the first one that we added a screw to as well, which means that adhesive is probably good. Heating up. Get it soft. You don't want to overheat it though. If you overheat it, and I mean really overheat this thing, with a heat gun at least, it can seal that hole up a little bit. I've seen that happen with some McFarlane thigh mods that I did. It was really crazy. It will start kind of sealing up. You can see it's not too bad, but all right, while it's warm, got a little squish to it. Let's go ahead, and what you'll do is you'll come in at an angle like so, and you'll twist all the way around. Bam. All right. So we'll let that chill for a minute, and then we'll take our other one, which I'm confident that this one will pop in. That was a very nice swivel, by the way. Popped in exactly where I wanted it to. Let's heat this up. Like I said, the uses in between, the closer they are together, usually the less time you got to let it sit there and heat, because this will get really hot. And I mean really hot. You just want to make sure that that plastic is soft enough that whenever you press it down and twist, it's not going to warp or bend. It's going to just kind of give way a little bit. make sure. I want to make sure that's right. I can't tell if that one's fitting the way I want it to or not. Oh, yep, there it goes. Okay, cool. Yeah, sometimes, like I said, you want to make sure you twist all the way around. And what that does is it makes sure that that plastic gets under that, like that screw where the gap, and then it will hang on. And then what you do is you twist it all the way around to make sure everything's nice and sealed. Because keep in mind, we just made this hole, these holes. And once it cools, because it might feel even a little loose at the beginning. Sometimes that can happen. And if so, you can always heat it up, pop it off, and do it again. You can basically, like, you can add a little super glue in there if you want to. You just got to be really careful so that it doesn't latch on to your screw and twist it off. But at this point, you should be really set well on here. Yeah, I'm liking that. Look at that. Nice fluid. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. All right. And that's how you do it. Check it out, guys. So now we've got our, right here. A lot of times if I'm messing with this like right afterwards, you'll see I'm kind of pressing into it a little bit. That's just because this plastic still is a little warm and I don't want to go posing him crazy right now in something weird, something crazy pose and it warp that plastic while it cools. And then we'd have to take it out and redo it all over again. But yeah, that's it. Right now we've got a nice, smooth thigh cut on both of these. And we created that from nothing. How about that? I hope you guys have success doing this. I am taking commissions on doing this for people. Probably going to be charging like probably 35 plus shipping. And I know if that's too much, then that's why I do the tutorials. Also, you just saw how long it took. That took an hour and a half. Now, I know I talked a little bit, but keep in mind, that's a lot of work, guys. So if you can respect my time, I can respect your figures. I can respect your figures, too. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, you're not going to get a gap, Hardy. That's why we make sure we cut them right in the center. The only time you'll notice it is like kind of off to the side like this. But I mean, it's a thigh cut. So even on a Marvel Legend, the muscle definition is not going to match up completely. It just adds more fun to your figure, in my opinion. And if you don't want one of those, if you think that you're destroying a figure because you're adding that thigh swivel, then don't do it. But a lot of us like that. I'm one of them, obviously. That's one of my favorite things is thigh swivels and butterfly joints, which would be fun to add. If I could get an extra one of these, I would love to just go mod crazy on him and see what happens. But I don't have an extra one. I don't have the money to be doing that. But I could get the money to do that if you would like to join the Patreon down below. All of the proceeds go towards my Toychanic ventures. That's what we do here. It's just me, and I try to do as many of these free tutorials and free whatever you live streams for you guys. I do have a Patreon, and I will be setting up classes soon for people who want to pay to get a more in-depth, a more intimate, more. Won't be one-on-one. I think I'll be doing 5 people in a class, but it is kind of, you will get one-on-one with me. If that's something that you like. You're free to ask questions in it and whatnot. If you are part of the Patreon, I'm thinking the tickets will probably be around 40 to 50. If you're in the Patreon, you'll get $5, $10, or $15 off, depending on what Patreon tier you're in. So these are ways that I've tried to figure out that seems fair to people and also gives back to my patrons and whatnot. So I really appreciate, whether you're a patron or not, I really appreciate you guys. You guys are some of the best just around. I love this crowd. Here's a list of my patrons. Once again, Esteban Brazza goes by Nacho, Chrisman, Samurai Chris, the amazing Dave Wonder. All of these guys are amazing. Robert Enso, Geek Mechanics, Ninth Archer Innovations. There should be an S at the end of that. I'm so sorry. It's actually there, but I had to change this up. And Creeper 13 Creations. I actually, unfortunately, lost a patron, but I gained one, so that's kind of cool. Either way, and you know, no shame, no nothing like that. It's always cool if you can afford to give. Uh, I'll take it. I appreciate it. If not, then keep showing up and supporting the channel just by liking, subbing, commenting on here, sharing the stuff. All that stuff works out in my benefit, and I really appreciate it for you guys. I think it's really cool. So sorry, Ninth Archer. What the heck, man? I'll talk to you in the Discord later. You can berate me there and just be like, you idiot. You don't know how to spell. Ninth. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great night. And for my patrons, we will see you in the Discord. Peace.